Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Church of Caboose, the part-time gamer, and in this Destiny 2 video, we're going to kind of talk about Vault of Glass stuff. I'm going to try to give people more like weapon and general stuff, regardless of day one Vault of Glass attempt or not. But since day one is coming up in under a week, it's on Saturday, the 22nd of May, 2021. I was like, hey, let's try and go ahead and do this now. Also, I had some clan members in the Discord server that were asking, like, hey, Church, we haven't done Vault of Glass before, or like, what do you think we need for weapons, that kind of thing. So this video is going to be kind of like what I suggest you keep in mind for weapons, loadouts, that sort of thing. And there's going to be some day one suggestions in here as well. I like competing in day ones. I find it like a really fun challenge. I'm really hopeful for this one because half of us have done Vault of Glass a ton. Well, I guess I didn't do it a ton, but two of them did it a ton. I did it some, and it should just be a good time. So that's going to be this video. If you guys do enjoy the video, subscribe to my channel, you sons of bitches, because it's the right thing to do. Also, comment down below if this video was all helpful, or if you've got other ideas. Like, I would love for this to be kind of like a forum in this video for the comment section for folks to share what's working for them, what they think folks should have within the fight of Atheon and the Vault of Glass, and just anything else pertaining to the Vault of Glass. So thank you guys all so much for your engagement and just helping me out with all that stuff, as well as helping out each other. So to kind of kick this off, you guys can see I'm on my Warlock. Most likely the day one raid I'm going to be doing on my Warlock just kind of seems to be what our fire team needs. We're going to have 2 Warlocks, 2 Hunters, and 2 Titans. And if anyone's wondering what the heck is the deal with day one, whenever Bungie releases a raid, there is a world's first race. And as of, I think it was Scourge of the Past, maybe, or the raid after that, there's contest mode on the first day, the first full 24 hours that the raid is available. And all that does is it tanks you at being 25 power under light. So that makes it not only are people usually figuring out new mechanics, unlike the Vault of Glass, you're also underpowered. So like when I did Deepstone Crypt, it was challenging because we were learning and figuring out mechanics as well as being underpowered. And that's just what people mean when they talk about day one and why it's kind of such a big deal to even try it, because it's just very tough. It takes good teamwork. It takes lots of preparation, as you guys are going to tell, because we're going to go a lot into the kinds of things that I did to make sure I have all the options available to me. But first, let's kind of talk real quick like mods and like exotic armors for characters. So even though I'm a Warlock, I'll try to give what I would probably be using if I was on other characters for day one, and what I think would be useful in general for Vault of Glass. On my Warlock, we got quite a few options in my opinion. Probably the strongest ones for day one are going to be between your chest and your boots. Now, some of this is, of course, just making predictions, and some of this is based off history of Warlocks and what is good. So when you're doing a well Warlock, which is probably going to be what most people are going to do like all the time on day one, Phoenix Protocol is a fantastic way to go, because when you get kills or assists inside of your Well of Radiance, you get super energy back. And it's not uncommon to get like 80 to 95% of your super back. And if you got like 2 Warlocks just kind of chaining wells, you'll probably be able to do lots of well chaining. And of course, wells keep you alive and do a damage buff, which, you know, is super duper useful. It's also possible chromatic fire because of Dragonfly, because there's a seasonal mod, and I'll show you guys that later when we get to the seasonal artifact stuff. That makes Firefly even stronger. Chromatic Fire could be a pretty useful one because there's lots of ad clearing, but I'm guessing for chest, Phoenix Protocol is probably the best way to go. Mantle of Battle Harmony might also end up being pretty strong because you can get more supers because of getting super energy on elemental weapon takedowns, and we're going to probably be using a lot of ad clearing stuff in our elementals, or at least pairing elemental with our kinetic slot. I think most of the day one strong exotics are going to be in the boots, though. So Transversive Steps lets you do reloads when you're sprinting. So if you're like, ah, shit, gotta get out of there, you don't necessarily have to worry too much about reloading your weapons, unless, of course, you're rocking things with auto-loading holster, in which case this is not as useful. So just kind of keep that in mind.
It's real.
Lunafaction boots are kind of historically really good on Warlocks because they increase the reload speed for everyone in your Rift or Well, and then you also get more range if you're on an Empowering Rift, so they're just usually a pretty good way to go. I think these new boots, the Boots of the Assembler, the new exotic from this season, are going to be hella strong, because you get these like little orbs of noble rounds that go and seek out your fire team members as long as you are standing in the rift. If you are doing a healing rift, your little noble round things will be healing orbs. If you are an empowering rift, they'll be little damage buffers. And this also works in your well. And these boots will also extend the time of your rift as long as you are standing in the rift and people are getting kills or damaging. I'm not entirely sure what actually triggers the extension of the well. There it is. Each time a Noble Seeker finds one of your allies, your rift is briefly extended. I've had these rifts last entire boss fights for overrides, so they can last for quite a while. So those will probably end up being really good for those boots of the Assembler. Then, of course, Geomag Stabilizers are going to be really strong as well, particularly if you've got a couple of extra Warlocks. You don't necessarily need to have like 4 wells or maybe even 3 wells. 2 wells might be all you need, or maybe even just 1 well. And your other Warlock can then do Chaos Reach, which is fantastic for more damage, especially because it's really strong right now. And Geomags just make your Chaos Reach better because you get to extend your Chaos Reach. And also you really only need to get about 80% of your super, then you can just sprint, have your super charged up in no time. And so it's just a really good way to get lots of supers. And Chaos Reach you can cut off in the middle, which just lets you get more supers more often. So if you just feel like you need to have the super for tanking, like, I don't know, a Fnatic, or if there's other majors or like champions or something, this is not a bad way to go either. For mods and stuff like that, you want to probably have mods that do things like give you health when you pick up an Orb of Light, like Void and Solar ones have that, I know for sure. So let me just like look at a Solar one here. So I think it's on any of these different options. It must be on class items only. But there's just stuff with orbs when you pick things up. Like, it's better already, and then I forget what the solar one's called. That will just give you more health. So, and then you want to have mods that do stuff like increase how much ammo you can hold, loaders. You want to probably use things like charge with light mods, like Protective Light, Agent Ordnance, which is a seasonal artifact mod, which we're going to get to next. Things like that, those really enhance the weapons that you're using, as well as do more things like keep you alive. Warmind cells are going to also be really cool, and I'm starting to slowly regret having invested more things into arc energy mods instead of solar, because solar are the ones that have the mods that I like the most for Warmind cells. But I will, I'll figure that out. It's whatever. I'll figure it out. No big deal. So now let's go ahead and just real quick look at the seasonal artifacts, because those play well into the mods. When we talk about weapons, keep in mind this seasonal artifact does a lot for grenade launchers and rocket launchers at very little cost. Like, it's great. We got Agent Ordnance, which basically when you're charged with light makes your rockets do way more damage. Eyes of Tomorrow has been nuts. We're thinking it's quite possible that Deathbringer with the Catalyst is going to be the strongest DPS weapon, and we'll get to why that's possible later. Then you can also have a mod to get charged with light because of rocket kills and grenade launchers. And then we've also got this one right here, which I think is going to be game-changing if Bungie would hurry up and let us know if this is disabled or not. So it's busted, it's disabled, but it makes everything with Chain Reaction and Dragonfly and Firefly more lethal. So like your Salvager salvos are going to be way nuts. Anything else that you've got with Dragonfly, Firefly will be great, and I think it might stack on Chromatic Fire, but that's something we probably have to experiment a little bit, but I can't because it's disabled, so whatever. You might notice I'm hanging on to 2 of these artifact mods, and it's because I want to know if this is going to be unlocked, and I'm considering about using Impulse Recycler so that way I can get lots and lots of grenades, because Grenade Final Blows grant grenade energy, and you can stack a couple of these, but I would probably just do 1, maybe 2, depending upon fire team composition with like Warmind cells mostly. Otherwise, we got, look at this, we got all this like cheap 1 ammo stuff, so just kind of use your artifact to help yourself out, and don't be afraid to reset your artifacts. I've already reset it once. I accidentally unlocked something, and so it's take 10,000 the first time, 12,500 the second time. So like, it's not super duper expensive. So something you also want to do before day 1 at least is make sure your resources like Glimmer are at least moderately full before you start the raid, as well as get plenty of raid banners. So that way, if you do need to reset this stuff or make infusions, whatever, at least you have the resources. Now let's go ahead and talk about weapons. I'll end with showing my vault, because those are going to be some tips about how to maybe approach a day 1 kind of a thing. With Vault of Glass, there's lots of really up close stuff with like lots of ad clearing, and you have to prevent Vex from stacking, as well as lots of long range DPS such as Atheon. So you want to have on your character, or at least available to you because of the app, a good mix of a lot of things. Like Wither Horde should be really good. Mizunami's Burden when paired with Divinity by somebody else would be really good because of all that insane damage. Then of course you want to have Void Weapons, as all the Minotaur shields. You want to have some 7 Seraph options so you can make more Warmind cells. We're going to have Vex Hobgoblins, and since Scout Rifles are anti-barrier, you're going to have on some Scout Rifles, and this happens to be a really good one that I like a lot, and so this will probably be what I use on the second encounter with the Confluxes and all that stuff. Then you're going to have on a whole slew of heavy ammo damage options. On one of my other characters, I'm glad I have a Threaded Needle with Rangefinder and Vorpal, because Threaded Needle, for now at least, has an insane accidental damage buff, so that'll probably be pretty strong. You can see you got lots of rocket launcher options, which would be really great because of the seasonal artifact mods. And here's the Deathbringer, so you guys can just see real quick. So the Catalyst makes it where the Dark Descent reaches its full potential more quickly. So basically, the longer your little orbs fall, the more damage it does. So normally you have to shoot the rocket pretty high above something's head, but with this Catalyst, you might be able to drop it pretty close to its head and get the same result, which means you doing more damage faster. And then coupled with like Agent Ordnance, that first shot, or if you're able to get 2 stacks, those 2 shots would do a ton of damage. And if everyone's doing it, it should actually be crazy strong without having to use something like Divinity. So time will tell on that one for the day one. And I guess the raid in general, if this is in fact the way to go. But other great options are going to be like Sleeper Stimulant, Xenophage, 1000 Voices, Whisper of the Worm, Anarchy, of course, that kind of thing. So just a quick kind of play-by-play of what I think I'll be probably starting off using, without, of course, knowing what the champions are, because that will change up stuff drastically if there are champions. It's going to be, for that first encounter, I'm going to probably do this right here, because you have to unlock and defend these plates from all these like presumably void shielded Minotaurs. So being able to drop a Wither Horde where you know the ads are spawning and break their shields with Grid Skipper, and then have the oh shit and like take out whatever it is that's about to hop on your plate with the sword should end up being very useful, and I think it's going to be a pretty good potent combination. We're getting to the first main encounter. It's got the Confluxes and the Phases and the Templars and all that stuff. I'm thinking something like Wither Horde with maybe like a Warmind Cell with 7 Seraph, and then like a Threaded Needle would be pretty strong. You could do something like Chroma's Rush with Truth Teller Grenade Launcher would be pretty strong, especially because this one's got Blinding Grenades. Anything you can get with Blinding Grenades would be really, really good. So Titans run Suppressor Nades, especially if you're with your Helmless Tank 14s. And then Warlock Hunters, I'm not sure what all your options are, but hey, be able to blind and then dodge to get out of the way because you're using Celestial Nighthawk or Orpheus Rig or whatever it is, should be pretty nifty. And then I'll probably do like either an exotic or like I probably would do Xenophage or Whisper, depending upon if we're using Divinity. But you know, as you guys can see, we got tons and tons of options. Atheon will probably be something like 1000 Voices or a Dark Drinker to start. Then we'll probably have to use whatever makes the most sense, like Warmind Cells and maybe like this grenade launcher right here, Ignition Code. So hopefully that gives you guys some good ideas for what to help. I forgot to mention the Hunter and Titan exotics that are useful. So Hunter will probably be Celestial Nighthawk. I would think Oculus Eyes would be pretty good. The chest exotic, Orpheus Rig, so you get more tethers, should be pretty strong. And that's all I'm thinking of right now for at least my head. And then Titans, I would think Helmless Tank 14s would be really popular. Armentarium might be pretty strong because of extra grenades. Ashen Wake. Doom Marchers, of course, are going to be really nifty for ad clear, especially if you got multiple Titans. Not everyone needs to be on bubble. But there's, I don't know, I feel like Warlock's got way more exotic options, in that the other two classes, like you got like 1 or 2 options that kind of work well for that one subclass, and that's kind of all you got going for you. Oh, I guess Hunters have that that super one, Star Scale Eater or whatever that one's called. That like once you're charged with your super's charged, the more orbs you pick up, the stronger that super is. That probably be pretty good too on Tether. I hear that one's like cracked. It's like 200-300%. extra damage for the individual that used the tether. So hopefully that kind of helps you guys out from like my thought process for just Vault of Glass in general. This will be a little bit of some like day one specific stuff, but basically all I did really to prepare for day one, because of having that power difference where you're capped 25 under, so like 1300 is the highest we can be. To me, I just kept tons and tons of weapons in every slot, regardless if they were good or bad, at a range of power. So that way, if like say hypothetically, I get to I pull out an exotic from collections. I'm like, oh crap, I need a 1300 power energy weapon. Well, I can just hop on my vault and be like, all right, cool. Here's like a posterity I don't really care about, and I'll infuse that. Or here's an Exile's Curse. You know, I can just kind of go through there and just power up stuff that drops, or I pull from collections without having to really worry about, oh crap, I can't use this thing, I'm stuck because I don't have collections built up. And so that's what I would suggest you guys would do with your Vaults of Glass. Another weapon thing I actually want to mention real quick is it could be Frozen Orbit, could end up being really good in Succession as well. With the snipers, because you could like hit Anarchy and then switch to a sniper. Like you can see here, I got some of these with Whirlpool weapon. Succession with Reconstruction of Whirlpool, if you have it's really good. I have Reconstruction and Recombination. So close. That kinds of stuff. So you just want to have a huge variety, because remember, you don't have to have everything on your character. You just need to have the ability to pull it over to yourself. So like use these apps like Ishtar Commander. Not everything that I have on this Warlock is going to be there on day one. I just wanted to have as many options as I could on this character, so it's just a little bit easier to show you guys like the weapon suggestions and that kind of thing. So hopefully this video helped you guys all out a lot as far as just kind of thinking about what kinds of stuff to keep in mind when you're running this raid, or when you're getting ready to, when you're completing matches and stuff's dropping and you're like, I'm going to ditch that. Well, hang on, maybe just keep it so you can have a better option later on and just trash that by infusing it later. Last little tidbits, use Spider, max yourself out on Glimmer or close to it. Get yourself a bunch of raid banners, especially if you're doing day one. Don't be that guy on a day one team where they're like, we need a raid banner, and you're like, I don't have one, because eventually everyone else might run out. Like, you never know, and then you might have to have someone go to orbit and just waste time. So you might as well just have a few hundred on your character. They're not that expensive to get. It's like 10 for 30 legendary shards. So that's some other stuff to kind of just keep in mind. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Let me know if this was at all useful, and as you think about getting ready for Vault of Glass, whether it's the day one challenge or not. I wish you guys all the best that are rushing on day one. Good luck. It's just an accomplishment to feel confident enough in yourself to even try it. And for anyone else that just wants to do the raid, I really hope this helps. I plan on doing raid guides for every encounter and every challenge as soon as I am able to. Usually what I like to do for those is I'll beat it, the raid, usually in the first couple of days that it's out, if I don't get a day one, which hasn't happened yet, but fingers crossed that Vault of Glass for my first day one clear. Because what I'll do is I'll then Sherpa some people as fast as I can, so that way I know how to teach it in a way that makes sense to at least a couple other folks, and that way I can be better able to make a guide that's more encompassing, more well-rounded, and more useful for all of you guys. So make sure you subscribe, so that way you get notifications and hit the bells and all that stuff when I make those uploads, because usually my wife helps out by making graphics and stuff. Like, we put a lot of work into those to try and give you guys the best success at basically watching a video and then beating that encounter with little frustration. So make sure you guys keep in touch, and we'll do the challenges as well, is my goal. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I'm Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.